This is Carl at National RV Detroit. I'm going to walk you through this 2022 Flagstaff Super Lite travel trailer. And the model number is 26 FKBS. Okay? So this is basically a how-to video. I'm just going to show you some of the features and how they work. Okay? So to start off with, we have power stabilizer jacks. So you have a switch in the front and a switch in the rear. Each switch controls the two jacks, the door side and off door side. So it's all pretty basic, like so. This is your city water, or excuse me, your fresh water fill. I mean, over here you have your city water hookup, which is the most common way to get water to the trailer. You just hook the hose on there and you're all set. But if you're camping someplace that doesn't have plumbing on the campsite, let's say you know, like a more rustic campground or an older state park that has a fill station when you first pull in, you can fill it right here and then use the onboard pump to pump the water. All the plumbing will work as though you have city water, even though you'll be pumping it out of the tank. This is just an outside shower. It's a sprayer for dogs and kids and feet and bicycles, things like that. Your fresh water drain, if you fill your fresh water tank and you don't want to carry the water with you, this white gate valve here, let me look at my monitor here. Yeah, is right there. So that's where you would dump that at. Now, if you notice, there are these holes here. Each slide out. Let me see what we've got here. Yeah, I don't know if you can actually see it. Let me look from underneath. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but there's a shaft with a pin through it. Now, in an emergency, and you can't get your slide out in or out, you can, see, here's another one here. You can actually use this crank right here. It's one with the cylinder with the slot cut in it. That'll fit right over that pin with the shaft with a pin through it, so you can actually crank them in and out manually in an emergency if you have to. Alright, you have a power awning with LED strip, outside speakers, you got TV hookup here, signal out, power, and a bracket. Let's see here, look around. This rail right here is for your griddle, which hangs right on there. You get a hose with it that connects to this quick connect down here. Whoops, let's see where it's at. Here's my monitor again here. I can't see anything. That looks like it right there. So that's the quick connect for the LP system. Okay. Also, those other things, these two right here are low point drains for your plumbing. Alright. Your water heater is here. Now this one works both on gas or electric. There's an electric heating element here, and there's your gas burner there. The switches to control it are inside the trailer. Always make sure you have water in the tank before you turn on the make sure you have water in the tank before you turn on the electric heating element or light the gas. Okay, you don't want to run it dry. Also, this is where you drain it. An 1 1/16 6-point socket fits on there, and you probably need about a 3 or a 6-inch extension and a breaker bar or a ratchet to break it loose. But that's where you drain it at. There's also an anode rod attached to that, so it's long. It's maybe 6 or 8 inches long. Okay. Come on, bug, move. So I'll just leave it. Okay, so this right here is your range hood vent. So when you're running the fan to vent to the outside, you always want to push up on these tabs. There's 2 of them there. That'll make the baffle inside flap freely, so it vents to the outside. Otherwise, you can keep it shut. But if you're running the fan, you always want to make sure that baffle is free. Okay. Front switch for the stabilizers, of course. That's just a hookup in case you wanted to add a kit that has a solar battery charger panel that would do nothing but charge the battery. You can plug it right in there if you were to want something like that. Okay, So, this small crank here, let me put this back where it belongs here if I can fit it up there. I don't know if I can or not from there. The smaller crank is for your power tongue jack. I mean, if the power tongue jack was to fail, you know, you can pull the plug out on the top, stick that crank on there, and you can crank that manually also if you need to. Alright, so, also that's your griddle right there that we talked about. And there's also a hose that comes with it. It's probably inside the trailer or under here. Yeah, it's actually under there. So that's where that's at. This is the rack that it hangs on. Boy, they got everything in here, huh? Let's see if I can do this one-handedly. Yep. This is the rack that it hangs on right here. And this right here is your hitch. It's a Husky center line weight distribution hitch with built-in sway control. We're going to show you how it operates when you pick up the trailer, so we'll teach you about that. Just so you know, back here, there's the water heater tank, but those are on the back of the water heater, those are the bypass valves. I don't know if you can hear me like that, but those are the bypass valves. Keep that in mind. You always got to bypass your water heater before you pump antifreeze into it. Okay, two 30-pound LP tanks, of course your power tongue jack that we talked about. You have dual deep cycle marine batteries, and that is your kill switch right there. If you can see it, it's a knob there. That's the kill switch for the battery, so you can actually shut them and disconnect them right from the trailer. Docking lights there. Okay. Here we have some valves. I just walked past some of them, but you have a black tank valve here and a gray tank valve. This is for the bathroom, so that's sink and shower water. That's toilet water and waste. Okay. There's another one up here, which is going to be your galley tank, which is your kitchen sink. I don't know if we can see it from here. It's way back there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's right there. Okay. Now, when it comes to the black tank, after you've dumped it, if you leave the black tank valve open, you can bring the hose to the dump station all the way back here, and you can hook it up to this one right here, and this is the black tank flush. So like it says here, make sure the black tank valve's open first, but you put it on there and turn it on. It'll spray out the inside of your black tank, clean off the sensors. Also, while we're standing here, this has to do with winterizing your trailer here, just so you know. You would hook a hose on there to draw the antifreeze in right there. This is satellite and cable through. Okay. All right, let me make sure I didn't walk past anything here. I think we got it. Okay, that's your dump hose there. This is a 30 to 20 amp reducer. Now you see it's a 50 amp system, right? So you got your 50 amp power cord. Then you also get this reducer with it, which will reduce it down to a 30 amp. And then we give you that 20 just so you can reduce it down one more time. You can't run the air conditioner off 20 amps, but you can, if you're at home and you're packing it up, you can run all the lights and everything else besides the air conditioning, really. Okay, so that's that. It's pre-wired for a backup camera, so you can, that takes a Furrion camera, so it would be the type that fits in that housing, so you could add that if you choose. You have a ladder, which is great because it makes you easy to inspect the roof. The manufacturer states every 60 days you should inspect the roof. Go up there, have somebody go up there, be very careful of course. Look at all the sealant on the roof, the caulk and sealant, make sure there's no cracking or separation where water can get through. Look at the roofing material and the roofing attachments and make sure they weren't damaged by low branches or road debris flipping up there. Just give it a good inspection, and that way you're ahead of any problem you have. So you'll know what's happening up there, and you're not, doing any damage while you're unaware of an issue. So it's good to inspect it. Odds are you would inspect it all the time, and it'll take years before you'll have to do anything. But you're just doing it to protect your investment. Okay. Okay. So here's the control panel. Turn on some lights here. Wi-Fi Ranger. Whoops, I guess I shut that off. Yeah, there we go. So your awning is right here. As you can see, never leave the awning out unattended. If you're not going to be at the campsite, roll it in. You have your two slide out switches here. This right here is your Wi-Fi Ranger. The Wi-Fi Ranger is a signal booster for public Wi-Fi. That's the main function. So you want that on. It takes about a minute to warm up. And what you'll do is you'll hook all your family's devices to the Wi-Fi Ranger. So you see this top line here on the sticker, Tenton 5094. That's your Wi-Fi Ranger. So when you look at your Wi-Fi section on your phones and tablets, you'll see that that will appear. So you'll make up a password for it so it logs on automatically, right? Then where it says control panel on the bottom line, that's an address. You type that into a browser and it'll take you to the page for the Wi-Fi Ranger. There's a temporary password now, change me now 5094, and that'll log you on until you change the password. And basically when you get to that, you'll see everything that the Wi-Fi Ranger sees, all the Wi-Fi, the campground Wi-Fi, whatever. So you'll pick out the campground Wi-Fi, let's say, and you'll hook up to it. If there's a passcode, you'll put the passcode they gave you, otherwise you just hook onto it. And the idea is all your phone and tablets will all hook up automatically to the Wi-Fi Ranger, and then all you have to do is connect the Wi-Fi Ranger to the public Wi-Fi. It's a really, really good signal booster. So it's also got a firewall, so it's safer, and you get a much stronger signal with public Wi-Fi. Now, there is a second function. You can like scan this doohickey here, and you can find out that you can also add a SIM card to it, for example. And you would pay through whoever your carrier is, I guess. You would pay another monthly fee, and you would have cellular service through it. But most people do not use that. I think people who work out of their trailer, like traveling nurses and salespeople and that sort of thing, might have that function. But just regular camping, you don't really need that. The free public Wi-Fi booster is where it's at. So keep that in mind. Okay, so there are apps for this thing, as you can see here. There's a tire monitor, which I'll show you in a minute. That's the information for that. Okay, so let's see here. You have your water pump right here. Use the water pump to draw or to pump water out of your fresh water tank if you don't have city water. You also use this water pump to winterize your trailer. To light your water heater on gas, you do this, right? To light turn on your, wait a minute, I'm backwards here. To turn it on electric, you do that. Always make sure there's water in the tank, of course. And to light it on gas, you do this. There's the fault light there, so you know where it's at. So that's your gas and electrical switches there. Then you have tank heaters on this one. So it basically has heating pads on the bottom of the tanks and on the elbows by the valves. So it extends your camping season. You turn that on, and it'll keep them warm so they don't freeze. You know, if you're in super duper cold weather, you know, you're still going to have an issue, obviously, but in normal camping conditions, cold weather, it'll keep you from freezing. All right. Then, of course, your battery, your fresh water, black water, gray 1, which is the bathroom, and then gray 2, which is the galley tank. Okay. Keep in mind, once you get past 2/3, you got to start thinking about dumping your black and gray tank. This is your thermostat here. You have a zone, 2 zones, and then you have your mode. So you're going to poke through the system in the mode. Right now we're on gas heat, obviously. You set your temperature here. But it also has a one called fan, which is just the air conditioner running without the compressor. It just circulates air. And then you have cool, which is full air conditioning. So those are your options from there. Okay. So it does have a solar panel on the roof. So it's constantly sending solar energy to your battery. Okay. Keep that in mind. It also has a power converter right here. This converts AC to DC power, right? And then it has an inverter here. This inverts 12 volt power, 12 volt DC to 110 AC. So keep that in mind. This only some of the receptacles will be wired to the inverter. This one says it does right here, inverter circuit. So if you had an appliance, let's say, we'll call it a blender or something. that works on AC power, you can plug it into here. Then you will push this button and light up the green. So right now you're taking the power from the battery, which is 12 volt DC. It's inverting it to 110 AC so you can run that appliance. Never invert, you don't run this unless you need to invert the power. So to shut it off, you hold it for a few seconds, then take your finger off it and it'll go out. Alright, so that's an inverted circuit. Let me look over here. This one also is inverted, so that's to use basically AC appliances when you don't have AC power. You only have your 12 volt DC batteries, okay? Now, when it comes to converting power, all trailers have this device here. It's just the opposite. What happens is when you're plugged into shore power, these are your circuit breakers here, 110, 120 AC. Just like you'd have at home, and they're labeled, right? This is kind of the distribution center here. Then the power is converted to 12 volt DC over here. So you got 12 volt fuses, and they're all labeled. So that's where you get your 12 volt power from. This is also a battery tender. So as long as you're plugged in, it's going to sense how much energy your batteries have and need. And if they're topped off, it'll just trickle a couple amps to maintain it. If they're low, it'll send 10 amps or whatever it needs to keep them charged. Of course, when you're pulling down the road, your tow vehicle's alternator will be charging the batteries, and your solar panels, as it collects energy from the sun, will be sending amps to the battery also to charge it. Okay? So it does three things. It's your distribution center for AC. It also converts AC to DC, and it charges your battery. If any of these fuses blow, they'll actually light up, and you can see them through this tinted plastic here. It has a fan on it, so occasionally you'll hear it kick on. It's not the refrigerator you're hearing, it's the fan in this converter right here. It has to cool down sometimes, depending on what kind of load is on it. Okay. All right. What else do we have here? All right, these are your keys, obviously, hanging on the faucet. This is the range hood that we talked about. You vent to the outside. With the fan, you always want to open that baffle on the outside. Remember that. You have a microwave, works like any other microwave. I don't know if it must have the gas on. The furnace is running. So right now you have the sparker, which is right here to the left. You turn it clockwise to spark, right? Then you got 3 knobs for 3 burners, and the last one is for the oven. So let's see here. See if we got the gas. There we go. It's that simple to light the stove. Now the oven is a little different in that there's a pilot light on it. It's all at the bottom all the way to the back. Maybe I can spark it and you can see it. Yep, you can see that there. Let me turn down the furnace here because there's no reason to be running it. See, I just turned it off. It'll run through, the flame goes out immediately, but it'll purge itself. It'll keep running for a minute or two. Alright, so you can see that spark back there. That's where the pilot light is. So what you do is you go to the oven knob, you go to pilot, which is the picture of the flame, then you depress it. You keep depressed through the entire lighting procedure, right? So then you start sparking by turning that knob clockwise until you see it light down here. Once you see the flame light, you still hold it in for another 10 seconds to heat up the thermocouple. Then you'll go to operating temperature, runs like an oven does, but when you shut it off, the pilot light will go out. You have to relight the pilot light each time you use the oven. Okay? Always travel with this in the down position. Never leave it up when you're traveling. Okay. This device here is your carbon monoxide LP gas detector. You can see it's green. It should always be green like that. If not, get it serviced. Also, if it beeps very slowly, it's telling you your battery's low. So it detects carbon monoxide buildup, LP gas leak, and it'll tell you if your battery's getting low. Let's hear it. LP is good. Carbon monoxide test coming up. Excellent. And then the low battery alarm. And back to green. It should always be green. If not, get it serviced. If it goes off, you take everybody outside, leave the door open, shut the gas off of the front, figure out what's going on. Alright. So this is some of your stuff here. You have by the water pump, you'll have a water filter canister. There's the filter. If you use this, you change it every year. And then you have a wrench for that. Get a spatula, toilet paper holder, that sort of thing. The other half of the outside TV bracket. And then this right here. This is your tire pressure monitor. Inside each of your wheels, not the spare, but your 4 wheels on this, there's directly across from the valve stem on the wheel itself is a sensor. So when you set this up, basically what it does is read that sensor. So it'll tell you what the tire pressure is, and you can set an alarm to go off, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of options. It also takes the temperature of the hub area, so it'll tell you how hot it's running, and you could set up an alarm for that on there too to tell you that they're getting too hot. Or one of them, you know, you'll be able to see if it goes off and one out of the 4 is getting too hot, it'll tell you that. So that's what this is here. We can talk more about it when you pick up. Okay, let's see what else. Now the table is, you keep the table in the down position like it is when you're traveling. So it's stowed right now. You don't want it to, it's a heavy table, you don't want it to bounce around and break something, you know, break a window or dent something. So you have it in the down position. I'm not going to put it up right now. I'm just going to show you that. The way you do it is you pull, this is your release lever when you're taking it down, but you're just going to pull this down. It's got 2 hinges here. So you pull it down, and when you lift the table, and it'll lock it into place. To unlock it, you're just going to push this to the right, and then hit it in the hinge area to collapse it, and it'll collapse right down onto these cleats right here, these 4 cleats that you see. Okay? So that always is down when you're traveling. Let's see if we got anything in here. Nope. Okay, so you can also turn this into a bed, obviously, by taking the back cushions and filling them in. You got a sleeping area. You got 2 theater seats, and they're automatic or powered back and leg rest and back, I guess you'd call it. Also, you have a USB charging port and a regular AC port. Okay, so this would be the remote for the TV set. Now the TV set is on a bracket that is a scissor bracket. So, or is it? No, this is just a swing out, but it locks into place. Always lock it into place when you're traveling so it doesn't just fly around. Also, here, let me pull this off so I can show you. Also, this, you can see a green light right there, hopefully. Hopefully, there, right there. That's telling you that the digital signal booster is on. You can shut it off by pushing this button, but you don't want to do that. You won't get a good picture, so you always want to have that on when you're using the antenna. When I push it back here, excuse my camera work, but you'll lock it right into place like that, okay? So that's the remote for that. Then, sorry about the camera being everywhere. I hope you don't get seasick too easy. Okay, so this is the remote for the fireplace. The fireplace is a really good space heater too. It's not just for looks. So, if you see here, let me see what we got going here. Well, I think I need a new battery in here. So I'll talk it through it. I'll make sure that that's taken care of. You can see over here, you can set the temperature. There's also fan speed. You can set the thermostat there. I just made it up to 80, for example. You can change the brightness of the fire from right here. Okay, let me try this again just to see if it is working. Well, it is working there. Let's see. So the thing's not working is the... Oh, there it goes. Okay. I'm going to make sure there's a battery in it anyway. I think that's just a weak battery. Okay, I just shut it off. When you shut it off, it'll still run for a few minutes to purge out the heat. Alright, so I'll look at that just to make sure everything's okay. When it comes to your sound right here, that's the remote for it. Okay, so you have AM, FM radio. You can select your mode. You have Bluetooth, so you can stream wirelessly from your phone or your tablet. You have a USB right here, so you can, you know, put all your albums onto one USB stick and take it with you. You have a CD and DVD player here, this slot right there. Plus, this HDMI is an in, so if you wanted to add something on, like a game machine or something for rainy days, you could plug it right in there and then power it right there, for example. It has 3 speaker zones. 3 is outside, 1 is this room, 2 is, I suppose, the bedroom. Now 3 is outside is Z3, zone 3. So by pushing zone 3, you can set a separate source and a separate volume on the outside. So you could be listening to the radio, or let's say you could listen to one radio station in here, and you could listen to another one outside, just by pushing Z3 to set the outside. Okay. What else does this thing do? It has all the normal functions, clock, and you can set up presets and that sort of thing. Of course, anytime you power down and shut down the 12 volt, you have to reset it. But keep in mind that zone 3, which is the outside, can be set separately from the inside. That's important because a lot of them don't do that. That's an important feature. Makes it a lot easier to have the volume and the source you want outside. Okay. Let me turn this on again and see what's happening. I'm preoccupied with it now. Might as well look at it. Yeah, it's working. And then, of course, up and down. There we go. Okay. You can also go from Celsius to Fahrenheit if you happen to use Celsius. Downright un-American, but okay. Now let's see here. Let me look around. I told you this was 12 volt DC refrigerator, or did I? I must not have. This is, if I did, I'm going over it again. This is a compressor type refrigerator, but it runs on 12 volt DC as opposed to 110 AC like your household refrigerator would. So it runs off of battery power or the power converter. Okay. Alrighty. I gotta pick up the pace a bit so I don't accidentally start a new file by taking too long. GFCI here. Keep in mind all the plugs in the trailer, including the ones on the outside, are wired through a GFCI. Okay. Here in the shower we have something called a shower miser. The shower miser is a recirculating or circulating device. So what happens is normally if let's say you're heating up the hot water, you turn on the hot water. Normally, fresh, good hot water or good cold water would just go down the drain until it heats up, right? What this does is it circulates it from this device here around to the water heater and back in a big loop, so it recirculates the same water around and around. When it gets hot, this will turn brownish beigeish, right? Then you would flip it to the normal position and you got hot water and you didn't waste any. So you're not wasting good fresh water in a drought area, and plus you're not taking up space in your gray tank with perfectly good water. So it's an economic eco thing, and it'll save water and you just don't waste it while you're heating it up. So that's the shower miser. Here's the thing for it here. I just want to tell you that because in your packet they'll have all kinds of literature. You can also go to their website and look at their product videos and learn more if you need to. Okay. So that's the shower miser. Let's see here. You've got a 4-speed fan, which is great, and it's got a cover over it so you can open it during the rain. And keep in mind, if it's the time of year where you get condensation from your breath, for example, and you got a bunch of people over, you just turn that fan on and set it on 2, let's say. It'll suck all that out. You'll never have an issue with condensation at all, no matter what the temperature is. The toilet is like any RV toilet. It has a flush pedal. You have to hit, it's ceramic, so it's not plastic. Parts of it are, but the bowl is not. And the black tank is directly below, so basically you hook up your power and your water. You come inside, you put a dose of chemical in the bowl, then you step on the pedal because we have water hooked up. It'll come swirling out. You put about a gallon of water in the tank along with the chemical, and you're all set to use it. You can't use it dry. If you just use it dry, the smell will be terrible. Plus, it can get clogged up. So you always want to have water and chemical in it. At least a gallon of water. Some people use more. It's up to you. But you always start off with water and chemical. Never use a dry black tank. Alrighty. Coming down the home stretch here. This is you got a 50-amp system here, so this is pre-wired for a second air conditioner. That's what this sticker's telling you. It fits right in here, right? This is the position of the sensor for zone 2, right? This would be zone 2. So back there are wires that you can access and put the sensor there, and that's where the air conditioner would go if you want to add it. Okay? Wardrobe, all the normal stuff. This is where you access your water pump and your water filter. It has a fake hinge here, or a hinge that doesn't work anyway. You just take out those two number 2 square-headed screws and you can open it right up. You use that when you winterize too. There's a valve in there you have to change over when you're winterizing. Alright, and then you have storage under here. You got drawers plus storage back there. Okay? Alright. This, well, last but not least, it's because you have a solar panel. I'm going to get some more air, light here. Okay. Because you have a solar panel, this is your solar controller. So right now it's AGM, which is a gel battery. That's not what we have here, so I'll set it for you. So it's flashing. I'll go to flooded. You have a flooded battery, so that now it's set correctly. It'll do the correct calculations knowing that. Okay. So, let me do this again. There we go. So right now you have 13.7 volts in your batteries, right? I know you can't see it that well. You don't have to worry about button A anymore. Button B, use button B. The batteries are wired together as one, so it's considered one battery. Okay. Right now we're gaining 1.6 amps from the sun. You see the picture of the sun, the arrow going to the solar panel, right? These are is telling you your battery's 100% charged, and you have these are your amp hours. Tells you how many amp hours you have. Now there's still room in the batteries to gain solar power, but if it starts flashing and says FUL, and then also we'll say 000, it's just also telling you is there's no more room in the batteries for storage. So it's not putting any energy from the solar panel into the batteries. But when your battery level drops, it'll change right over to what you're seeing right now. Okay. So again, there's a app for this. You can learn more about it. But the main function is like I said, battery voltage, amperage you're gaining from the sun, 100% charge, and amp hours. Okay. You also have, let's say in an emergency you got a dead phone, you could just plug it right into there to that USB, and you can charge your phone off and things like that. Okay. All right. That's the solar controller. You can also go to their website. Like I said, GoPower has a great website, and you can learn as much as you want about this stuff if you don't already know. Okay? Alright, so I think that's it. So let me just look around. I think we're good. Okay, so I want to thank you for purchasing your trailer here at National RV Detroit. Please remember what I said about inspecting the roof every 60 days.